السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. طلاب الأعزاء، طلاب الفرقة الثالثة بالمجمع التكنولوجي المتكامل بالأميرية، أهلا وسهلا بحضراتكم جميعا مع موضوع آخر وفيديو آخر من الفيديوهات الخاصة بمادة التكنيكال إنجليش مع الدكتور بدر عبد الفتاح. Today, inshallah, we're going to answer the questions that I asked you to prepare from last time on lesson number 5 entitled hydroelectric power. So we have some questions and I'd like you to check your answers for these questions in this lecture. So we'll start now from the very beginning. If you still remember, we're talking about hydroelectric power, and we talked about the idea of hydroelectric power and the idea of using dams and using falling water in order to produce electricity, which is represented in the idea of hydropower or hydroelectric power. And I asked you to answer the questions on lesson number 5, and today's session will be about checking and addressing the answers of such questions. Question number 1, if you still remember, question number 1 is where does hydropower come from? That's the first question, and I'm sure that you came up with an answer to this question. Where does hydropower come from? The answer is it comes from energy which is produced by falling and running water. So one more time, it comes from energy which is produced by falling and running water. Question number 2, how do hydroelectricity dams work? One more time, the question is, how do hydroelectricity dams work? The answer is, it works when fast-moving water in a large river or rapidly descending water from a high point converts the force of that water into electricity by spinning a generator's turbine blades. In other words, this flow of the falling water activates a generator that produces electricity. So one more time, this is the question, the second question, about how do hydroelectricity dams work. And here we go with the answer of the question. One more time, it works when we have like fast moving water, or when we have like rapidly descending water from a high point, from a dam. And when we have that, it converts the force of the water into electricity. How does it happen? It happens by turning the generator's turbine blades. In other words, we can say that the flow of the falling water activates a generator that produces electricity. So that's the answer of the second question. Let's move now to the third question. What effects does hydropower have on the environment? If you still remember, in this lesson we talked about both benefits or advantages and disadvantages of using hydropower and using dams. And one of the disadvantages was about its effect on the environment. So if you get back to the lesson, if you get back to the topic, you will find the answer as hydropower diverts, changes, and reduces natural flows. It restricts access for animal and human populations that rely on rivers. Fish can be easily blocked by a dam and prevented from swimming to important spawning grounds. Dams can also fail and cause massive flooding. Also, in the event of a drought, the electricity produced could truly be limited to a trickle. So that's the answer of the third question. The question of the effect of hydropower on the environment. It has serious effects on the environment, and one of these serious effects is that it reduces natural flows. It has like negative consequences on both animals and the human populations. which depend on rivers. Also, it has serious consequences on fish as they block them from moving from one part of the river to another part of the river in order to produce eggs and therefore increase in a process which we call it spawning process, which means to produce eggs out of the different fish and therefore increase the number of fish in the water. And of course, dams can also fail and cause massive flooding, so you may have flooding as well. And also in the event of a drought, the electricity produced could truly be limited to a trickle whenever you have like a drought. So the electricity that you seek to produce may be very, very limited. So that's the answer of the third question. Let's move to question number 4. Question number 4 is, can we avoid the drawbacks of hydroelectric power plants and how? So we are talking now about the disadvantages, the problems of hydroelectric power plants. Can we avoid such problems, and if yes, how? Of course, the answer is yes, we can avoid it. We can avoid such problems. How? We can, yes we can. And how? By carefully planning the locations of renewable energy power plants. Their harmful impact to the planet can be minimized and their renewable and sustainable benefits maximized. So to make it simply explained, yes, we can avoid the drawbacks of hydroelectric power plants. And how we do that? Through choosing carefully, or let's say selecting, the locations of such power plants in order to avoid the harmful impact to the planet, in order to minimize it as much as you can, minimize the sequences, the negative sequences, and as well as maximizing the benefits of using such hydroelectric power plants. Let's move to the next question. Question number 5. Question number 5 is, both hydroelectric energy and geothermal energy use water in different ways to harness energy. Discuss. So it's like I'm asking you about the difference between hydroelectric energy and geothermal energy. So the answer is geothermal energy is heat stored deep inside the earth or occasionally in hot springs. Geothermal heat pump systems can heat and cool buildings and can also provide a source of hot water. Of course, you can't find this answer in the article, but you can find it when you Google it, when you find when you try to find the difference between hydroelectric power and the geothermal power, you will find that geothermal heat pump systems can heat and cool buildings and can also provide a source of hot water. So by geothermal energy, we're talking about heat which is stored inside the earth itself. And of course, we have other direct use applications, including growing plants in greenhouses, drying crops, heating water at fish farms, and several other industrial processes. And one more information about it: geothermal energy does not require any fuel, and as a result, any kind of pollution or greenhouse gases is not produced. So that's the definition, and that's the meaning, and that's how can we make use of geothermal energy, when we want to produce electricity. And on the other hand, we have hydroelectricity. Hydroelectricity is a form of energy generated by the motion, by the movement of water, and is converted into electricity. And hydroelectric energy, as we discussed in the article, is made from the constant motion, the constant movement of the water cycle and it's the result of solar heat and the gravitational forces from the Earth. So we can say that these are the differences, or the main differences between geothermal energy and hydroelectricity or hydroelectric energy. Let's now move to the other types of questions represented in the synonym match. And we have a synonym match question, and also I asked you to do it as homework. And now we're going to check your answers. So we have here 12 words from the article. First one is descend, convert, spin, approximately, alter, restrict, spawning, massive, drought, trickle, sustainable, maximize. So one more time, just read them again. First one is descend, convert, spin, approximately, alter, restrict, spawning, massive, drought, trickle, sustainable, maximize. And your task was to match the word on the left. Okay, I think it's better to use the highlighter now to match the word on the left to its meaning from the column on the right. So the first one, which is descend. So what's the meaning of the word descend? We have here the meanings. Letter A, change. B, dryness, lack of water. C, producing eggs. D, small amount. E, increase. F, coast to or turn around fast. G, turn into or change the form of. H, come down. I, nearly, almost. J, able to continue for a long time. And K is very big. And the last one, L, is limit. So we need to match now the first one, descend. So what's the meaning of the word descend? This is letter what? Letter H, which means to come down. That's the first one. So one more time, descend means to, okay, to come down. What about the word convert? Convert. So what's convert? Convert is to turn into. Yes, convert. Here we go with convert. It means to, okay, to turn into. I'm just trying to highlight the word with the same color with its meaning, just to make it, more simple for you. Next one, spin. So what's the meaning of spin? Spin is to turn, okay, to turn around fast. That's the meaning of the word what? Spin. To turn around fast. Next one, approximately. Approximately means, okay, so the meaning of the word approximately is, yes, nearly or almost. So that's approximately. Then number 5, to alter. It means to, let's choose another color, okay. Alter, it means to change, okay. And then restrict, that's number 6. What's the meaning of the word restrict? So restrict it to, yes, letter L, to limit. So restrict means to limit. And then we have number 7, spawning. So what's spawning? I talked about spawning, okay, before. And spawning, we talked about the fish, which is prevented from moving from one part of the river to another part of the river due to one of the negative consequences of the dams or the hydroelectric power produced by the fast moving water. So spawning here means to produce eggs, okay, which is connected to fish. Then we have the word massive. I'm now trying to erase it. Okay, so what's massive? So massive means very big, correct. So massive means very big. And then we have drought, which is number 9. Drought. And the drought, which is gafaf, it means dryness or lack of water. That's the meaning of the word what? Drought. Dryness or lack of water. And then we have trickle. So what's a trickle? Trickle, which is number 10. Trickle, it's small amount. So trickle means small amount. Sustainable, which is number 11. Sustainable. What's sustainable? Sustainable is able to continue for a long time. Mustadam, sustainable. So it means to continue for a long time. The last one here is maximize. And what's the meaning of the word maximize? It's to increase. So one more time, maximize means to increase. This is the end of today's video. It was just about answering or checking your answers of the previous lesson number 5 on hydroelectric power. أتمنى ان احنا نكون استوعبنا الإجابات ونكون إجابتنا كانت إجابات صحيحة للدرس ده، وإن شاء الله نلتقي على خير في فيديوهات أخرى في دروس قادمة، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.